Welcome back to Black News Tonight. My next guest is a creative powerhouse, writing and directing episodes of hit black drama series like Insecure, Queen Sugar, and Swagger. I'm talking about none other than Nijla Mu'min. She is a phenom. Let's take a quick look at episode 7 she directed for Hulu's hit series Wu-Tang and American Saga.
Of course they want to talk when they know you the source. Coming from the dark side, I can show you the force. On G Street mobbing, prison tracks act like Jehovah Witnesses, cause the beats keep knocking. Ill, that's the regular. Never could you measure up. REC, DMG, better connect with us.
And now she is with me. Nijla is in the building. Thank you so much for joining me on Black News Tonight. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, that episode, because I'm a huge fan of the Wu-Tang series. It actually caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting to be as amazing as it is. I think it might be a classic. But what's at the heart of this episode, and what were some of the challenges going into it?
Yeah, the heart of this episode, entitled Airwaves, is really about camaraderie and brotherhood between all the members of the Wu-Tang Clan, all of them coming together for this common goal to get their music on the airwaves, on the radio, and also to get their music distributed. So a lot of the choices I made as a director, visual design choices, shots, blocking, was around the idea of teamwork and of just this kind of common goal that all of the members were kind of getting behind in order to protect your neck out into the world. And it was a really, really fun, well-written episode written by Gabe Fonseca. And I just had such a great time working with the different actors. It was my first time directing an action scene that was paying homage to John Woo's film, The Killer. So it was just a lot of new experiences for me, but all of the actors are so just talented and filled with different gifts when it comes to performing. So I just had a really great time getting to know them and really bringing out those themes of camaraderie and teamwork that this episode was about.
How do you even go about deciding sort of which projects you're going to take on? Because you're in a position now where you can make some choices. Reggie Rock, for example, was here last week talking about Swagger, which, again, another dope series based on the life, kind of loosely on the life of Kevin Durant. And it's a great basketball series on Apple Plus TV or Apple TV Plus. It's dope, and you got an episode of that. How do you decide what things you want to be on? How do you decide which projects make sense for you? What do you look for?
I look for complicated characters and a world that we just really haven't seen before in my own work and in the work that I take on. So I'm really just, I just love digging into characters and character relationships. I love digging into family relationships and romance and intimacy between people. So all of the projects that I become involved with have an element of that. And a lot of times I really just want to complicate representations of Black people and Black women, Black youth, Black men, Black just people. And that's really where my heart is. So with Swagger, I'm really passionate about youth and about the coming of age journey that a lot of young people go on. And that show really gives us so many different young characters who are really just trying to figure out life, you know, in the midst of this very competitive basketball world. And I was just really interested in that. You know, I'm not a basketball player, but like I said, I'm interested in complicated characters. And even in Wu-Tang and Insecure, in my own film, Jinn, I really, really want to dig into the complexities of people and the decisions that they make. And so all of the work I do is around that same goal of, you know, really showing these textured, you know, characters a lot of times who are people of color, who are women, who are Black women, Black youth.
You talked about Jinn, and I'm glad you mentioned that because obviously feature filmmaking is your biggest passion. And you wrote and directed Jinn, which it's beautiful. It's not just beautifully directed, it's perfectly shot. The editing is amazing. No, really, I really mean that. And I want to play a very short part from the film first before I ask you my question. I want people to see this.
Your mom cool with you being here? I told her I was hanging out with some friends.
Why lie?
Because if she knew I was corrupting some Muslim boy and ruining her reputation at the masjid, she'd have a fit.
Rarely, if ever, do we get to see Muslims as complex human characters, as full people. To me, that's the beauty of this project. Talk to me about what's happening in that scene and what inspired you to do this film.
Yeah, in that scene, Summer and Tahir are having their first kind of outing at a halal pizzeria. And Summer is new. Summer is the main character in Jinn. She's new to this Muslim community that her mother, Jade, has become a part of. Her mother has recently converted to Islam and has, brought Summer along to really experience this new world that she loves. And so Summer is just filling out this world. She's really captivated by Islam and by the teachings that she's being introduced to, but she's also a little conflicted internally about who she wants to be and how she wants to assert her identity. And this story was years in the making. I grew up in the Bay Area. My father is a devout Sunni Muslim, and I grew up in a Black Muslim community. My mother had converted, my father had converted as well before I was born, and I just had never seen Black Muslims represented in all of their complexities like I saw in my everyday life. And I wanted to really kind of paint that world from the eyes of a Black girl who was, confused and who didn't always have the answers, who had a love for Islam, but also had questions about her place in it. And that's really where Jinn came from. It's just a love letter to my community, to my father, to my mother, and to Black girls and Black youth who are trying to figure out who they want to be, while still holding such a love for the religion of Islam, which I do. And so I think sometimes we don't have representations of Muslims where we see them wrestling, where we see them asking questions and having problems in their lives. And I think we need to complicate that. So it was really important for me to show a human portrayal of Muslims, of Black Muslims, in a landscape where we just don't get to see that.
That is so true and so powerful. And it's not just a brilliant analysis of Jinn, it's a brilliant analysis of all of your work. You're always showing us in our depth, in our complexity, and our contradictions. You don't romanticize Black life. You simply humanize it and highlight it and show the beauty of everyday being. It's what makes your work so powerful, and it's why you're one of the great artistic voices of our generation. Thank you so much, Nijla, for joining us today.